Bobo he says he's a yogi speaker, a yogi miner. I don't know what those mean. I never took the Queen's language that seriously to that extent. But he's a public speaker, hailing all the way from Botswana, a game changer in Botswana. Even in the Toastmasters realm, he's changing things in Botswana. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to tell us about his story, man enough, Bobo Baleseng.
I come from a world where a man isn't supposed to cry. We don't talk about our problems, and we end up bottling things up, and we die and wither away. I'm from Botswana. This is one of the countries that is said to be one of the most peaceful ones in Africa. Maybe we are. I mean, our most wanted criminal is a young man called Jesus. And he terrorized people with an okapi knife. Scary. But living in Botswana for 28 years now, I've realized that sometimes the peace that we have is a trade-off of real happiness or true freedom. I see this in many people's lives. I've experienced a lot of things in my life, but who hasn't, right? We've been through a whole lot of things. And on top of everything that I've experienced in my life, one thing stands out. There's something which every time when it's brought up, I sound a bit bitter, angry, and hurt. You might say it now. This is just a disclaimer. If I do sound bitter, just sympathize. I'm not bitter anymore. I was born in, a conservative family. And it was a normal Setswana family. And by normal, I mean a single mother and a lot of kids. My twin brother and I are the last two of the 7 kids that my mom has. And we don't share the same father with our older siblings. What this means is, my father was there before we were born. He helped my mom take care of the older siblings. But immediately after we were born, for whatever reason, he decided to leave. I don't understand why, and frankly, I don't care. But I remember in my childhood, I grew up a very, very bitter child and hating the fact that my dad isn't around. And what this means is, for the longest time, I didn't know how to act. I didn't know how to be in a certain way or an acceptable way. So I was at the mercy of everyone around me. I remember when I was 11, we were supposed to have this Christmas celebration at home. And that week prior to the celebration, my uncle brought a goat to our house. The goat was supposed to be slaughtered for the celebration. So the day before the celebrations, that's when we were supposed to kill that goat. I remember that morning, I was with my twin brother. We were playing around our home, and I ran behind the house. And as I was hiding from my twin brother, I was eye to eye with the goat. And suddenly, I started feeling sad about it. Sad about the fact that we're going to kill this goat later today. And I started getting uncomfortable because I didn't want to be involved in that. Don't get me wrong, I love meat. And I'll cook you a mean steak. But killing a goat or killing any animal started to be something weird for me. So I ignored that part for a while, continued to play. Then later that afternoon, my older brother, he is 20 years on me. He's 20 years older than me. So he called me so that we go kill the goat. And I started getting anxious. I started getting uncomfortable with the fact that, yes, now this is going to happen. So I took the Kwapi knife from the kitchen. I went to him. And my role was supposed to be to help him put the goat down so that he can slit the throat. And as we did that, as we put it down, and his hands were holding his head and the other hand was ready to slit the throat, I got more and more anxious. Anxiety attacks went on a high level. So I got up and left. My brother got mad about that. So he called me, B, come back, we're supposed to kill this goat. And I was I was out of that zone. I didn't want to be involved. So I rushed to the house and he came to me, started lashing out. And he kept repeating the same thing over and over again. What kind of a man are you going to be? You are not man enough. If you can't kill this goat, how are you going to raise your children? How are you ever going to be man enough to do all the other things in life? And for me, it wasn't the first time that my siblings were verbally abusive. I was used to being called dumb because I got D's at school. It was okay. But being called not man enough, I hated that. Because if someone keeps repeating to you, you're not man enough, I was wondering, what are you judging this against? And the more and more he kept saying all this, the more I started to shut down. But somehow in my head, when he was doing this, I was saying, come on, I'm only 11. Get away from me. Protect me from yourself. The day ended, the goat was killed, we had a celebration. But every chance he got, he told me that I wasn't man enough. So without a father in the house to teach me how to be a man, and my older brother being the only one to sort of reference how a man's supposed to be, I started hating everything that he did or everything that he does. This is something that got to me really, really deep. It pissed me off, I hated it, but then it ended up forming a part of my life and influence how I do a whole lot of things in my life. I remember at a certain point, I went to my mom. I told her about the incident, and I tried to get her to tell me how a man's supposed to be. And by doing that, I was asking about my dad, how he was and how he did things in the home and just generally in the community. But that was the day my mom told me about how my father used to abuse her. Every chance that he got, he beat her up. And the siblings were there. The neighborhood knew about it. But they never did anything to solve the problem. And to her, that was how men are. That's what men do. I didn't understand it. And I started sort of looking at our society, looking at culture in a different way. Because somehow the culture that we have is the one that sort of perpetuates how women are treated or how men act. That was the period where I stopped being the normal guy. If beating people up is what a man is, then I don't want to be a part of that. Because my mom, hearing stories about her being abused, it got to me. And I don't want to be the person that inflicts that kind of pain to other people. Man enough. Even to this point, you'll never see me be involved in slaughtering an animal or any of those aggressive things that men are supposed to be doing, that are normal in our Botswana culture or African culture. And one of the things that I shut out is my brother loved football. I don't watch football or any sport. Because this started at a very young age. I was 11. And from that point onwards, I retaliated against everything that a typical man is supposed to do or be. For a long while, my brother wasn't the only one who said I wasn't man enough. When you get into a society that is used to a certain way in which people act, if I told them I don't drink, I don't like going to the farm, I don't play that part. And to most people, this is wrong. This makes me sort of a female, because for them, a female is the one that doesn't go to the farm, is the one that doesn't kill. I always had a dilemma. In the other hand, I wanted to be a part of the people. I wanted to belong. But every time I got to that point, all the things that I heard from my brother and about my father, they came up again. So I shut down. And I got to be this person that doesn't do the typical manly stuff. It's rough. This is something that in our society we overlook it. We don't pay enough attention to raising the boy child, because we teach them the wrong things. Right now, I have friends who are going through a whole lot of things. But they don't normally talk about it because it's our culture. We die, we perish because we don't talk. I might be not be man enough. I've learned to accept that. As a matter of fact, I'm okay with it. I love it. I can't be the one that gets people to be in a position where they're not free to live. I talk about it, people, and I talk about it, and people sort of, they don't relate. There's a clear problem. We see it, but we don't talk about it. And don't get me wrong, I love culture. In itself, it's a good thing. But when you use culture to tell a young boy that he's not man enough and he'll never be man enough, that's not cool. I've come to a point where this is who I am and this is how I live. I'm not the typical man. I've gotten used to the verbal abuse, but now I'm moving with this kind of a person that I am. But to some extent, I get worried because soon I'm going to want to get married. And when you get married, there are always those procedures and processes that we go through. I'm afraid that my parents-in-law would also think I'm not man enough. Because they too are the conservative type. They believe in the culture to that extent. I want to live free, and I know that a lot of people are boxed in the way that culture has been taught to them. It's something that should change. And I'm here saying, let's start a new culture. We are Africans, I'm a Motswana, and there are core things that are there in the culture that we should support. Clearly, yes, we love that. But the simple things that make people not to live free should be cut out. I'm hoping my story, my speech, would somehow find its way to Botswana, to the northeast side of Botswana, where my parents-in-law reside. And in that way, by the time I ask to marry their daughter, they won't take me to the farm and ask me to kill some goat. I'm man enough. I'm as good as they come. But a lot of people don't see it. We are a peaceful country, but that peace is hiding a lot of hurt. It's hiding a lot of pain that people don't talk about. Let's start talking about that. I'm man enough.